Welcome to the world's first Early Warning for Early Action app. This marks the first full launch of the application, which has undergone 2 years of testing and improvement. I trust you're really going to enjoy interacting with this new generation of humanitarian application. As you open the file, the first thing you're likely to see is a ribbon which looks something like this. You're going to need to enable content for this software to function. If you want to learn more about how the app works and the theory behind the index and the early action suggestions, then click the introduction button here. This will guide you through a number of frequently asked questions and other background information. As a one-off, you're going to need to click this button, which is the setup page. This content will rarely need to change once set. So you're going to quickly run through the list of things to do. Fill in your country name here. Select the start year from the drop-down menu. Select the start month when you begin using the tool. Remember, you don't do this on a monthly basis. This is a once-off. Then you come along to the seasonal calendar and you select 1 against the month for which the season is relevant. I understand this is a simplification of reality, but try to generalize for the country, because this calendar is essential for the food security projections to function properly. Beneath this, there's additional baseline data that needs to be entered, and you can follow the link below in order to get this data on the internet easily. You're going to start by entering the HDI, preferably the inequality adjusted HDI level. This is used as a proxy for the overall resilience of the country. The figure is carried into the index calculation. Then you go on to enter the country's population and then complete the different mortality and acute malnutrition rates as well. This completes the setup. Now we can either select step 1 or go back to the hub. This is where the monthly work begins. It's a simple 2-step process. Step 1 is where we complete the dashboard, followed by step 2, which has used your dashboard results to suggest a series of actions that might be considered. So let's click step 1. The first thing you're going to notice is the box that says index entered for. This gives you the last month for which data has been entered. Now when you first open the app, it will give you an NA message until you complete step 1 up here, and we'll see how this month changes as we complete the dashboard. Before you go into the dashboard, we need to enter the number of people at risk or affected by the hazard. You'll enter the number manually in this box. Since people need to be located, we have developed a neat little tool to help you not only locate affected population, but also to estimate the number of people at risk or affected. To get to the tool, we click this little yellow button. When you open this for the first time, you'll find this blank. What you need to do is to set up the tool by entering the population statistics to the lowest administrative level possible. Click this link to see how you can locate your country's population census statistics and follow the instructions listed below. Again, you're only going to need to do this once. The beauty of the tool is that you can either estimate the number of people affected by applying a percentage or by using real data. Now here's how you do it. You simply look down the list and you select yes from the drop-down against the administrative area that you believe to be affected. The default is to take 100% of that population into the estimated number of people. If, however, only a certain percentage or a fraction is impacted by the onset of the hazard, then we write in the rough percentage that we are projecting. On the other hand, if we've already done a survey and we know the exact number of people, then we simply write the number into the actual column, which I've shown you here. And as you work through the process, the numbers tally up above. It's important that you write notes giving your reasons for the estimates and the hazards they are at risk of. As instructed here, we manually transfer the figure to the dashboard. That's because you're going to choose either this or the other, and the dashboard can't tell which. So we're going to take the 913,000 figure and return to step 1. So let's put 913,000. Now we've entered the data, and we can move on to the dashboard. From here, we can start working through the dashboard. Indicators are listed down the left. Then moving to the right are trigger statements of increasing severity. Select yes or no against the statement that best describes the situation and write notes in the space provided over here. The normal status is the default, hence you start selecting yes or no from watch onwards. Triggers are color-coded according to whether they are watch, warning, emergency or crisis. For a description of how these are categorized, return to the introduction page. So let's take an example here. I've gone for a sort of drought scenario. So we have an El Nino effect, and we have an early onset of the dry season, and you see the index figure changing as we select off the triggers. Let's take this up to emergency situation and say that people are starting to adopt distress strategies, and you're going to see this index move into red up to 76. Once you think you've selected off all of your indicators, we have them for livestock, crops, food availability and access to food, social and political events, law and order, conflict. Now, these will become visible if conflict becomes an issue. If, however, it's not an issue, these triggers get grayed out, indicators get grayed out, so you don't need to worry about them on a monthly basis. The same thing goes for elections. Only if they are coming would you select yes, and then those indicators would become available for you to select. Then we have some geological and other indicators below. So you see this is a very comprehensive dashboard that covers pretty much every situation that your country could face. Once you've selected out all of those that you think are relevant to you, you can see a consolidated list of what you've chosen. If you're satisfied with those, then you can return to your full indicator list and now complete step 1. So you've seen the data's gone from May to June. If you suddenly realize you've made a mistake and you want to undo your monthly record, simply select that button and it returns back to May. But we are satisfied, and therefore we complete step 1. Go on to June and move swiftly on to step 2. Step 2 is the automated early warning and early action report for DRC in this case. This starts with a graph with your past data and projecting forward for 6 months. Now the projection is based on some crude assumptions, and you can argue with this in the box below. The key to the projection is that it is there to provoke discussion within your office. You'll note that the graph also includes population at risk along with the index. That's important because you might have some tiny emergencies which only affect a few people, or you might have the same level of emergency but affecting many millions of people, and that will depend then on the type of response that you would undertake. Based on the triggers that you selected in step 1, it will automatically populate a list of hazards that might be considered. Some of these within your country might not be relevant, and therefore you select them out of your tool and only keep in those that are of significance for you. Once you've done that, you select out your unrelevant hazards and press this button, which will further refine the report. In this case, we have what we would consider a category 2 emergency, which affects more than 100,000 people but less than 1 million. And for us, yes, we've declared our emergency against the automated declaration. Now, based on your triggers and the population at risk and the index a whole series of actions are automatically suggested. Simply run through the list and select the option from the drop-down menu that you wish to act on. Please note you need to specifically select an option out of the report if you do not want it to be carried into the final report. This is to ensure that there is full accountability for all actions not included. Now all that remains is for us to click the button to select in our options. So these are broken down into assessment and programming options. Let's say we've not started that yet. This one might be ongoing. This one might be complete. So you'll simply run through your list. These ones I've selected out as not being relevant. If that's not relevant, it goes black. We go through some peace building issues, coordination considerations, advocacy considerations, human resources, procurement and logistics. You're going to see that each of these sections is addressed like an email. This is for ease of communication. So you'd simply take this content and paste it into an email and send it on to the relevant person within your office. Now, we've already had a whole series of programmatic decision-making options in the first section in relation to assessments and early programming decision-making. Further on, though, we're going to want to convert our office capacities into proposals. And what this section does is to give you an automated list of sectors and subsectors that are likely to be affected by the hazards that you've selected out in the first part of the report. So you'll simply run through this list and there select out those that your office is does not have a specific capacity in, and select in those you want to either respond to. Note that the select sectors which have yes listed against response would be those that are suited to response, and those for disaster risk reduction, mitigation type activities will have yes listed. Now we have selected all of our sectors and subsectors that we wish to develop concept papers for. We can use Proposal Buster, which can be downloaded from ngoappwarehouse.com, Proposal Buster, by clicking this link, and you will go onto a page that looks like this, where you can download the app and also view a quick YouTube video instruction on how to use it, and that will help you rapidly generate concept papers far quicker than you otherwise would. And congratulations! Let's simply click to view our final report, which selects out all of the content that we didn't want included and still leaves in, as promised, those where we didn't make any decision. And all that remains is for you to make sure the appropriate people receive their mails and then follow up on the plan of action. I trust you will enjoy using this world's first early warning for early action app. And remember, your feedback will contribute to the next version. So let's keep the community working. Take care.